I've been trying out this new game called Endfield, and I don't know if it's just me or I'm getting old, but there's tutorials, some mechanics that I need to read and study about, and everything just feels overwhelming. The moment you log in, you're greeted with tasks, daily logins, battle pass, energy systems, checklists, rewards here, rewards there. It's like clocking in. And look, I don't think that's necessarily bad. Games are more generous now. They want to be more accessible. They want to be more respectful of your time. And yeah, sometimes I like that. But that feeling doesn't linger. I log out and 5 minutes later, I'm like, why do I even do these dailies every day? There's a strange kind of magic when you're dropped in the world with no instructions. In Diablo 2, you create your character, right? And the moment you do, you're dropped into this world. Hey, you're a paladin, and there's demons in this world. Yeah, go ahead, deal with it, save the day. There's no guidance on what stats to build, no explanations of what skills are good, and not even a warning if you mess it all up. You figure it out, or you don't. And I don't know what it is, but there's something deeply satisfying when games allow you to be lost, to be bored, to be confused, to just walk around with uncertainty at every corner. And I don't know, maybe that's why a lot of games doesn't just stick with you now, because you're not sinking time in to discover things on your own. It's ironic, but sometimes I feel like being told exactly what to do for a reward feels less rewarding. And I think that's the difference between a game that just trusts you, that you'll figure it out on your own, that you'll exist in it, versus a game that's afraid you'll leave just because you didn't have anything to do in a span of a minute. When I was playing Ragnarok Online, if you had somewhere to go, you had to walk across maps. If you were leveling and got low on health, you either sat down and waited for it to come back, or you ran around town asking the priest for heals and buffs. And yeah, sometimes they helped you, and sometimes they just told you to f*** off. And if you wanted to level faster, well, you probably needed a party. Yeah, most of the time you didn't want to deal with people, so if you're like me, you just grind it alone. But grinding alone means grinding till the sun comes up, just to get one level. And if you were grinding for items, you better prepare for a week, because the drop rates, they really sucked. None of it was convenient, but somehow it didn't break the game for me. It was the game. The weird part is, back then, I didn't even think of it as something that's inconvenient. That was just how the games worked. You logged in knowing it would take time, knowing you might not even level up that session. Maybe you're just gonna walk around, be lost, talk to people, and just grind. And then at the end of the day, you log out and call it a day. But day after day, you logged in anyway. Now, Ragnarok is the only MMO I really ever played. Of course, I was aware of RuneScape, MapleStory, or World of Warcraft, but I didn't really grow up with them. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a coincidence that people still love to talk about those games. And I think that's because they all share the same thing, the inconvenience. And somehow, by adding that little bit of friction, players were given room to shape their own stories. When the game doesn't rush you, when it's not guiding you, when it's not checking in on you minute by minute, you just kind of have to live inside it. And this wasn't just a MMO thing either. Back then, games didn't autosave every 5 seconds. You had save points. You had to stop. If you spent hours exploring, grinding, learning systems, and your party got wiped, or maybe even worse, there was a power outage. Good luck, cause you were going back to your last save. In some games, the world are crawling with monsters. In every corner, something is ready to rip your balls out. You're scared, you're lost, you're low on resources, and the only thing standing between you and losing everything? A typewriter. But there was a catch. You needed ink ribbons to use it. And sure, they weren't impossible to find. But every save, it was a decision. By today's standards, all of this sounds really inconvenient. But that inconvenience became the core gameplay loop. You had time to think about what you were doing, you had to plan. When you failed, you didn't just respawn to the nearest checkpoint. You had to crawl your way back in. And when something wasn't working, there wasn't a system nudging you in the right direction. There's no glowing markers or tips or yellow paints everywhere saying, hey, this is where you climb. You basically had to discover it. I remember when I first got my PS3, it came bundled with Uncharted 3. Now, I have never played an Uncharted game before. I didn't really know what it was, so I booted it up, and minutes into it, I was already completely stuck. Now, when I booted it up, I thought it was just another action game, like Max Payne or Grand Theft Auto. Little did I know, this dude is basically Spider-Man, and climbing is a huge part of the game. But the funny thing is, I don't remember the game holding my hand, but the game assumed I'd figure it out. And eventually, I did. Compare that to now, if you're stuck on a puzzle, hints pop up almost immediately. If there's a boss fight or a hard encounter, there's an autosave right before it. So yeah, let me ask you this. Was there ever a game that you booted it up, you didn't know what to do, it gave you no direction, but somehow you still loved it for that? Let me know. Anyway, I'm out. Peace.